Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you to join us today for our study case, digital versus physical, or the modern way to reduce waste in design and production using digitalization to support CSR ambition and objectives. I am Philippe Denizet, General Manager EMEA at Charger PCC, world's leader in interlining and inner components. And I received today two key actors of digitalization in fashion, Gerd Wilschutz from Color Digital and Matteo Gottardi from Custom Workshop. Waste is generating in both the design phase at proto stage and the production phase, shipping huge amounts of inventory that may or may not sell. And we all know this is a critical part of the carbon footprint. If chosen wisely and implemented correctly, digital tools can reduce waste in both design phase and production phase. Digitalizing the texture and physics of all materials that go into a garment, even the unseen structural elements like interlining, gives designers an instant realistic view of the drape and line of a garment digitally, reducing the number of physical proto necessary. These digital designs can also be used in customization software to reduce the amount of inventory a brand needs to take to market. So, Gert, can you tell us about Color Digital approach to support this objective and the role you play in digitalization for fashion?
Yes, sure. Thanks, Philippe. So first of all, hello from Cologne, Germany here, everyone. And thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here at CFS. Well, with DMIX, we provide basically a cloud-based interaction arena, really, between brands and suppliers. And this is way beyond the classical digital marketplace that we have already also in place. We cover major areas in the creation and production workflow, enabling basically wherever possible the creation, decisions, and control on the product development, and always based on digital data, right? So it's not, wherever we can, we try to avoid physical stuff and go into digital. This can happen visually, like presenting one of your collections of fabrics, trims, accessories, interlinings, whatever. But it can also be data-driven or in combination of both, because obviously sometimes you need both in order to clearly describe a product. And we have both in place to offer the full possibilities. So powered with our DMIX technology in the background, we are acting as a single source of truth in the market. So we enable product developers and designers to decide based on digital materials and objects without the need of sampling and prototyping, as long as this is possible. Obviously, in textile, this is not always possible, but we really strongly believe that we can reduce sampling and prototyping to a very, very high degree just by optimizing workflows. As an example, just imagine how many million meters of fabrics are produced each season just for sampling and sales purposes. We believe it is very good and sometimes very necessary, of course, to have a physical material in your hand. But we also believe that you don't need to have it in your hand in 50 different colors and designs, because this is something that can be done virtual and until the right design is achieved and agreed, and then you maybe need to go into a production or prototyping the material. This alone would lead to so many things in saving logistics, saving material, and so on. Same thing is if you look in color development. there are millions of lab dips and redips necessary in the industry, just because we don't talk clearly about color, just because we don't provide the perfect information that we could provide in the first place. So we enable our customers really with practical and obviously network tools to move away from this really subjective color assessment and communication to a more measurement-based and objective and clear process. Especially in design, that is a transformation. Of course, it's a transformation from a classical way of working to something pretty new. But we try to make this shift as easy as possible, because we not only provide the numbers and the curves, that's the classical color metrics approach that you have in the laboratories all over the world for actual years, so probably since 1980s. But we also provide the visual reference. So we stay with the visual approach, which is so important for design and product development oriented people. DMX hereby acts as basically a new layer. We are providing standardized colors, materials, and objects based on the latest technology and the standards that are used in the market. So we are obviously always orientated about what is going on, what system is used at our client side, how can we connect, and so on. And with this, we enable our customers to have full visibility and transparency on workflows and product data. With there are special tools like DMX Cooper and stuff like this, or the Matchbox for lab dipping. Brands and suppliers can co-develop products in a really safe and standardized environment and track the process to feed also the analytical tools, right? So it's always interesting to know how these processes work, where we maybe can achieve some more, and maybe where we are already very good. Because in a lot of these processes today, we don't know. It's very interesting when we go into companies and look at the way how lab dipping, for example, is done. Then this is a very analog and unclear process for most companies still. Yeah, being a cloud-based system, we also offer many ways of connecting via latest technology APIs. We connect with basically every software that is used on our client side. This can be PLM systems, this can be ERP systems, CAD systems, graphic systems. It's a wide range of applications that we are already connected to, and where we make sure that the flow of data is working perfectly. And yeah, this is basically what drives us, right? We want to provide the highest degree of interaction between brands, suppliers, and maybe even other parties that is possible, and this in a really easy way to access, and obviously also with a high matter of security, which is crucial and which is basically normal today, right? So this is something, of course, we take care of, and we use the latest technologies also for scalability of the system. And yeah, and I think this has, and we can see already with major suppliers and brands we are working with, we can see the impact, and we can see that numbers are going down in the right way.
Very good. Thanks a lot, Gerd. I see already a lot of questions from the audience. That I will address in the Q&A part of the session. So, Matteo, same question. Can you tell us what is your approach at Custom Workshop in terms of digitalization for fashion, and what is your ecosystem and how you work and what you bring to this digitalization?
Thank you, Philippe, and thank you, CFS, for having me. I think I'm just going to carry forward on a lot of the topics that Gerd spoke to. Working in the industry for a while, Custom Workshop has seen that sampling and digitizing the sampling process has led to a lot of efficiencies and really helped in sustainability. And our focus is seeing how we can make that same jump, but into production and selling directly to the consumer. As well as it works for a designer to build and envision a product, it's the same thing for a consumer to be able to see and envision what that product would look like. I think we all understand that the model is currently broken from a sustainability perspective to guess months in advance what a customer would want, both in color and in styling, invest huge amounts of inventory behind that product, and shipping all that inventory to distribution centers or retailers is obviously very wasteful. We believe that moving to a hybrid model where customization helps to solve the need for these large amounts of inventory is really important. How do we get there? Well, in my opinion and in our opinion, the fashion value chain has changed and has been disrupted and is necessary for a large amount of innovation, mostly through digital design and social commerce. And this space is a wide open space that we believe retailers, brands, and manufacturers need to adapt to and need to grow to and be digital frontrunners. Obviously, MOQs are very important. We're not trying to remove that, but we do understand that in order to exist in the current climate, we need to bring another solution. And the solution in our eyes is what we call mass customization. The idea of focusing on MOQs for your core product, being able to build on that core product with more unique items that we can then customize by one manufacturing and on-demand manufacturing. How is this possible? Well, just like from a 3D perspective, digitization has become really important. Same in the manufacturing process. The manufacturing process has changed from, say, 100 years ago, 50 years ago. Now, factories can actually digitize the entire manufacturing process, receiving APIs that will allow you to digitally cut the fabric, allowing that fabric bundle to then carry forward into the manufacturing process, where the sewing machines actually read a QR code, change thread colors, and assign the buttons directly to the garment. This allows for, once again, this concept of mass customization to come to light. We have many factories that started by doing 1,000 units a day of one item, one exact item, to now doing 1,000 units a day of uniquely designed items, whom have already been purchased by the consumer, paid for by the consumer, and was shipped directly to the consumer. Now, I'm not saying that people don't still like shopping, right? I mean, people still like to go into stores, they like to feel the product, they like to be a part of it, right? And this obviously helps in the customization world from an online perspective, but how do we then address the shopping environment? The idea here is allow brands and retailers to focus on product in store that is core. Allow the retailer or the brand to focus on items that they know they can retail and they know the consumer wants. Then where do you bring in the fun? You bring in the fun through the customization element. So if it's an in-store environment, you have a tablet or a big screen on there. The customer can put on, say, this navy jacket and say, wow, I really like it. And then be able to walk over to the screen and be able to customize it in whatever way you want. Why is customization important? Well, number one, consumer loyalty. The consumer will not only pay more for a customized product, but they will want to own it. Return rates are lower. They believe they're a part of this process, and they believe that this garment somehow also fits them more than anything else. From an operative standpoint, obviously this model has a lot of advantages. One advantage is no investment in inventory. As a company, you only have to invest in raw materials. Those raw materials are held at the factory, many times financed by the factory. At which point, once you receive an order, a paid for order from the consumer, you put that order into production, and that order is then shipped to the end consumer. There's also other areas that this customized digitized process is very successful. One of the greatest industries, in my opinion, that has the most opportunity and also will help with sustainability efforts is the uniform business. Now, when you think about uniform, the amount of inventory that needs to be built to fit into the different sizes and people is huge. What we can do with customization and mass customization is we can build into that core and build into that what we call the bell curve, right, of the majority of fits and sizes with inventory that is held and we know we'll work through. But all those outside outlier sizes, all those can still be customized through a digital interface, working with digital assets that speak back to the patterns and shapes and sizes that we have on a digitized pattern maker, selected when needed, made and shipped. So therefore, there's very little waste. There's a lot of excitement and innovation. And I think this is kind of the future that we all want to see.
Thank you very much, Matteo. Very clear and an amazing solution that you propose. So 5 key takeaways we can keep in mind concerning this digitalization at the service of the ambition to save the planet and these CSR objectives. Advanced cloud-based digitalization software like DMIX Cloud allows for the full interchange, and the full is important, of digital materials and objects, complete with physical properties and master data, offering a visual single source of truth for digital decisions. Now, with the digital properties of both fabrics and inner components, physical protos can be reduced or eliminated by using a 3D design software. We at Charger have totally digitalized our interlinings, so they can be now plugged to some of the 3D design software. By moving to on-demand models, brands and retailers can meet consumers' growing demand for customization, as addressed by just now on the customer workshop, while reducing the waste of heavy inventory. Software like Custom Workshop, on-demand platform for customization and made-to-order apparel, shoes and accessories, offers digitalization software for factories and plug-and-play models for brand and retailers. Known as conscious manufacturing, this model can significantly reduce waste in production and participate to the global challenge we address today. So we have some question from the audience, and let me just see some of them, and maybe the first question to Matteo. Matteo, how difficult is for a brand to enter in the MTO space and digitalize their offering? Can you briefly reassure us on this?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we do here at Custom Workshop. So the idea here is that we have a SaaS solution where any brand or retailer can share with us their patterns, digital patterns, and through our sourcing network of factories all throughout the world. We have factories in China, India, Mexico, Spain. We are able to make one-by-one product for them by them plugging into our SaaS solution. So our SaaS solution gives a 3D visual reference of that garment that they have shared with us. And it connects through API to the factories that have all been digitized to make this. So it is obviously a new frontier, and we're here to help.
Thank you. Gert, question for you. What about scale? Is your solution only for large corporations or companies, or can it be adapted to different sizes of business?
No, actually, obviously, same as Customer Workshop, we are a software as a service solution, and obviously we are able to scale the solution in various ways. So it's also a modular solution. So we have customers working only with the color side for the moment, and we have also customers working only with the digital material side and using certain tools. And our customer base really is from 2 people design offices up to really large scale global players using the full solution and asset. And so yes, it's absolutely perfectly possible to scale in wherever we want to go. And I mean, the interesting part is that we basically still can connect the small players with the big players over the same standards, right? Because that's always also a big problem for vendors and companies to have a security in creating data and putting it on some websites. If they have to do this 10 times differently for 10 different players, obviously this is not going to work, right? So this is where we are thinking that this is really key. Yeah.
Okay. And in this regard, Matteo, another question, interesting question, very concrete. How do you produce and scale on-demand manufacturing when factories want high minimums? You have addressed this, but I think it's one of the critical points some teams or some company can have. So it could be interesting to have your answer.
So actually, that's a great question. From a qualitative standpoint, I'm not 100% sure that all factories like high minimums. They've been forced into high minimums because of how sharp pricing has gotten and how little margin they have. By moving to a made-to-order model, a lot of these factories, and we've had a lot of factories reaching out to us to help them get into this digital made-to-order world. They are not only improving their margin, but they're moving forward and diversifying their production. So a lot of factories have seen that this is the future. They understand that customization is something they need to adapt to. And the majority of them that have actually prefer the business model. You have to understand that these factories are used to making 1,000 units of one style and shipping those and getting paid later. While now, every single item that's being sent through their production line, they know they have a customer behind it that's wanting it. So they also understand that there's an efficiency there, that once they build up their mass customization capacity and they're able to improve the digital optimization of their machines, they can be very competitive in a space that is wide open and receive much higher margins and much less risk than before.
Thanks, Matteo. And another question, how can the consumer envision what they are going to purchase with on-demand manufacturing?
Well, I think this is where Gerd and I actually can both jump in. I mean, I think from a 3D perspective, 3D technology has made leaps and bounds, right? It's allowing designers to really design a product in the 3D space through the 3D cages, drape it with fabric technologies like Gerd's, and really see what that product will be. And it's something that the consumer doesn't really see very often. And I think just opening the door to allowing the consumer to see those digital assets and to be able to make decisions on those assets and then be able to send those directly to production is incredibly important. So what my focus is and what our team's focus is to take a technology that has been working so well in the prototyping and product development phase and move it into the retail and sales space, because there's a lot more efficiencies when we can remove all these high MOQs and try to balance out the importance of obviously keeping high inventory in core items, but bringing the newness and the freshness and this customer loyalty based around customization into that space.
Maybe just I can add on this, because obviously this is something that drives us very much, right? So it doesn't help to digitalize something that doesn't represent reality, because in the end, we want to have a consumer buying something and getting something from pictures that is a lookalike, right? So we are talking about digital twins here. And this is something where, of course, you need to put in a lot of technology in order to get this right? So it's the whole concept of color management that is very, very important and often underestimated, especially in the 3D space. And this is something where we are building bridges, right? So doing color management right with classical technology that we are using and that we incorporated into our system. We also enable to bring this further into the 3D development. And this is absolutely also true for the physical behavior. This is something that is, I don't know, I think it's obviously it's there for a long time, but now you realize that this is equally important, right? So it's more and more the brands are really also need to have the physical description of the material. And so this is also where we try to provide a standard that is doable by the labs that are doing the quality testing anyway, right? So it doesn't help if this is done with specialized solutions that are not really industrial, but we need to feed into the loop of the quality control and product testing that we already have.
Thanks. And Gert, one question about system. Can you tell us what systems are connected already to DMI-X?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is it's a wide range, right? So First of all, we are obviously connected, starting on the color side, with the major industry players. So we are connected with X-Rite, we are connected with Data Color. We are one of the first solutions that incorporated the full Pantone library in original measurements. So this is something we can provide, and that enables a lot of possibilities. Obviously, it's the classical graphic design softwares like the full Adobe suite and stuff like this. We also connected with the major players in 3D. So we are connected with CLO. We are connected via U3M with Browseware. We are connected with Vidia here in Germany. So this is something where we are making it very easy for the 3D artists to work with digital material and objects, because in the end, it's really drag and drop, and you don't need to think about which map goes where and where does the special value of physical behavior goes. It's all automated already, and so this is very comfortable.
Clear. Very, very interesting. And one question for both of you, maybe one last question for both of you. What would be needed for your technologies to be scaled even more than it is today?
Well, I think there's two things. One is obviously processing power, and I'm sure that Gary will agree to this. But what's amazing is, at the end of the day, all of our solutions are cloud-based. My solution is cloud-based, Gary's solution is cloud-based. So we're constantly evolving and adapting this technology. It's constantly getting faster. It's constantly getting higher resolution. It's constantly getting better. I think from a scaling perspective, it is currently growing at a clip that is much faster than I think any one of us expected, from the 3D asset generation, but also from the customization side of selling 3D assets. I think just like the business is growing cloud-based from a technology standpoint, the technology for social commerce and e-commerce, and how consumers are getting so used to buying product online, especially post-pandemic, is really allowing for this kind of like tech adoption that's frenzied, that's growing really fast. So for us, it's the growth in the technology and the adoption of the digitized and automated processes in the factories.
Yes, of course. From my side, I would say absolutely agreed. So technology can and needs to grow even further, and it does, right? So this is something that is quite constantly going. The other point I think that is very important is that we still have a lot of people in the industry that are very classical in the way they like to work and they are working. And a lot of these people are not really keen on moving, right? And I think this kind of transformation in the heads needs to get more powerful. And the good thing is, if they move, the technology is already there, right? So we can start, we can do it. It's not something that can't be happening, right? So I think transformation is key.
Yes, lots of conviction to improve and to increase the size of this technology now. So guys, thank you very much. Thank you very much to everybody. Stay tuned for the next study case, and have a great digitalization journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you.